to avoid a shutdown, but the debt ceiling still has not gotten done, and they're still trying to do the national defense budget all at the exact same time. So these things are all tied in because the more things they have to do all at once, the harder it is to get the stimulus package done. The more things they're negotiating all at once, the harder it is for Bernie Sanders to say, hey, give us stimulus checks for seniors, because Joe Manchin says, nope, you know what, we'll give you the checks, but give us this, give us that in the other bill, give us this in the defense budget, give us this when it comes to raising the debt ceiling. Things are really complex. So the more things we get done, the easier and smoother it's going to be to negotiate the stimulus package. So this is where the good news comes in. As Democrats and Republicans just announced that they've come to a deal to raise the debt ceiling and avoid a crisis. Now, a couple of things here. One, this is really good because it's going to pave the way to get the stimulus package done, hopefully before Christmas, which is Chuck Schumer's deadline. Secondly, I want to point out, this still has not been executed. This is something that Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell have said, we've verbally come to a deal, and we're going to get this done in the next few days. So we're going to have to wait and see if it actually comes to fruition. Secondly, this allows them to not include it in the stimulus package, which was Mitch McConnell's original plan, and was going to make it really, really hard to include stimulus checks for seniors, because if they included the debt ceiling increase in the stimulus package, it's going to make it a lot easier for Republicans to say, oh, Democrats raise the debt ceiling in the stimulus package. Stimulus packages are evil, right? It's all marketing. It's all a political game. So now that it's not going to be in the stimulus package, this is really, really good, because the stimulus package can be labeled as mostly being good and not being bad, because it technically isn't directly raising the debt ceiling, if that kind of makes sense. It's all a political game. At the end of the day, we know how these things work, but it's good news for the stimulus package. Now, the process by which they're doing this is a little bit complex, but it's kind of a unique situation where Republicans still are not going to have to vote for this. It's not going to have a single Republican vote. It's only going to need 50 votes in the Senate, which means only the Democrats will vote for it in order to get it done. So then it makes you think, is Joe Manchin going to vote for it? Is Kyrsten Sinema going to vote for it? As of now, it looks like they will, but we'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. So on the one side, Mitch McConnell is saying, hey, you know what? We won this battle. Republicans are not raising the debt ceiling. Democrats are doing it completely on their own. But on the other hand, there are a lot of Republicans who are attacking Mitch McConnell, saying, hey, you shouldn't be helping Democrats at all. Don't raise the debt ceiling, and say, we're only going to raise the debt ceiling if you don't do the stimulus package at all. A lot of Republicans are trying to completely kill the stimulus package, which of course would be catastrophic for seniors, as we're trying to get that stimulus check included of between $1,000 and $2,000. Hopefully Bernie Sanders can get that done. So Mitch McConnell is taking a lot of heat. Although he's trying to just avoid defaulting on our debts, a lot of Republicans are saying, hey, you shouldn't have helped Democrats at all. Because basically, although they're not voting for it at all, this is something that Republicans have to allow Democrats to do. Basically, by saying, all right, go ahead and do it. We're not going to filibuster it, right? Because that's what usually makes them require 60 votes when they use the filibuster. And budget reconciliation is the process that Democrats have been using to avoid the filibuster. But things like raising the debt ceiling usually have the filibuster rule. So Mitch McConnell says, you know what, we're not going to filibuster it. You guys can use this certain process. 50 votes is going to raise the debt ceiling, and it's going to be tied in with some other stuff like Medicare benefits and stuff like that. We'll talk about that in another video. But basically, Mitch McConnell's taking a lot of heat for allowing Democrats to get this done. Although, for the most part, he's keeping his word with what he said. He said a single Republican would not vote to raise the debt ceiling, and he's getting that done. So actually, that's really good news for Republicans, because next year, during the midterm elections, 2022 is going to have a lot of seats up for election in both the House and the Senate. And Republicans are going to be able to tell people during the elections, hey, Democrats raised the debt ceiling. That's a huge thing. And quite honestly, I'm a little surprised that Democrats were willing to do that on their own. That's why we'll have to wait and see if Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are actually willing to go through with this, because Democrats are basically going to take all the blame. I mean, the spending that they're approving really is for things that half of it was done by Democrats, half of it was done by Republicans, because this is retroactive. But still, you know how politics works. If they technically raise the debt ceiling themselves, they're going to take the blame. So Mitch McConnell's claiming victory, but for a lot of Republicans, it's not enough. A lot of Republicans are saying he shouldn't have helped them at all. They should filibuster the debt ceiling unless they say they won't do a stimulus package. So with that said, folks, let's watch this clip from Mitch McConnell kind of defending what he's doing and allowing Democrats to raise the debt ceiling. And let me know if you agree. Do you think Mitch McConnell did the right thing? Or do you think he shouldn't be helping the Democrats? Let me know your thoughts, and then we're going to talk about what's currently happening with the next stimulus package.
A pretty stark red line back in October on the debt ceiling, said you wouldn't help. Then you got criticism from your side that there was some assistance, even though the Republicans did not vote yes. You then excoriated the majority leader, saying you wouldn't help in the letter to the president. Some are now saying you've gone back again. What do you say when you drew those two red lines and now saying, oh, you're going to help indirectly raise the debt ceiling?
Well, the red line is intact. The red line is that you have a simple majority, party line vote on the debt ceiling. That's exactly where we will end up.
But some of those Republicans are upset with you. Thought you had leverage this time, said you had leverage back in October, and disappointed in this kind of parliamentary arpeggio.
There are a lot of different voices, but the facts are not in dispute. This will lead to a simple majority, up or down vote on raising the debt ceiling.
Leader McConnell, why even have a 60-vote requirement to have the debt ceiling if you're willing to go through this level of legislative gymnastics to create a whole new law?
Yeah, let me go over it again. The debt ceiling agreed to in the previous administration in conjunction with the Speaker in a negotiated bipartisan way covered the debt ceiling through August of this year. This debt ceiling request has to do with the future, not the past. It's pretty clear that Senate and House Republicans do not like this massive amount of spending, whether it was the American Rescue Plan of almost $2 trillion or the reckless tax and spending spree now. So we want to make it clear that we do not support this level of spending, nor the level of debt required to support this amount of new spending.
Senator McConnell, how did this go over in your conference? And do you feel like you have 10 Republican votes to pass this change?
There are always differences of opinion among Republicans about how to handle a delicate issue like the debt ceiling. We'll be voting on it Thursday, and I'm confident that this particular procedure, coupled with the avoidance of Medicare cuts.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Still taking a lot of heat, but it looks like they're going to get the deal done to raise the debt ceiling, which again is going to set the stage for Democrats to almost fully focus on getting that stimulus package done, which again, Chuck Schumer wants to get done before Christmas. Imagine the stimulus package with a stimulus check for seniors getting done before Christmas. That would be truly amazing. That would be such an amazing Christmas gift for seniors, which honestly is not really a gift. It's something you deserve because you've paid taxes your entire life, right? One of the main reasons he thinks they can get this done and Republicans won't filibuster the bill is because there's going to be a bill in there for Medicare, meaning that doctors and hospitals, they're going to keep getting paid really big reimbursements from Medicare, and that's something that Republicans love, right? They always support big businesses, big pharma, entrepreneurship, things like that. So they're thinking that by tying it in with the Medicare bill, which doesn't help patients, it just helps doctors and hospitals and things like that. By tying it in with that, Republicans, that'll be enough for them to say, you know what, go ahead, put it in there, raise the debt ceiling, and we'll go ahead and blame Democrats for doing that. So we'll have to wait and see. Like Mitch McConnell said, they're going to vote for that on Thursday. Hopefully they get that done. It's going to be interesting to see if Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema vote for this as well, because of course they always seem to make things more difficult. Now, Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, was recently on CNBC talking about the urgency to raise the debt ceiling because if they don't, the U.S. could default on its debts. And yes, potentially they could delay Social Security benefits as well. I know this is something that's debated a lot, but probably what would happen is Social Security benefits would probably be delayed. Now, a lot of people say the government has shut down before and Social Security payments were always paid. Yeah, but that's different. A government shutdown is different from a government default on their debts. If they default on their debts, that would set up a situation where the Social Security Administration would have to start selling bonds from the trust fund in order to make their payments, and we estimate that that would probably take a couple of months, so your benefit might be delayed by maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So again, don't freak out. It's probably not going to happen, and it looks like this deal is about to get done on Thursday. But this clip we're about to show you shows Janet Yellen talking about the importance of raising the debt ceiling and getting it done to avoid an economic crisis. So to end this video, I'm going to leave you with this clip from Janet Yellen explaining exactly why it's so important. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.
Cost American households, be they Democratic, Republican, independent, non-voters, what cost would it cost us?
Well, I think it would be catastrophic for the economy and for individual families. Nearly 50 million seniors could stop receiving Social Security payments or see them delayed. Our troops would not know when they would get their next paycheck. We have 30 million families who rely on the monthly child tax credit, and they would not receive that relief, at least on time. And as we saw in 2011, when the debt ceiling was raised at the absolute last minute, and investor and consumer confidence was shaken in the run-up, we saw a marked increase in interest rates, a marked drop in the stock market. And when U.S. interest rates go up and the credit rating of the United States was downgraded, that means higher interest payments for everyone who has a loan, whether it's a small business, a homeowner with a mortgage, a credit card payment. Anyone who borrows would see higher interest costs of their debt.
We must raise the debt ceiling for the benefit of the American people. I don't care what party they're from. Let me go to Chairman Powell. Now, the Fed is rightfully focused on controlling inflation while boosting employment with the aim of guiding our economy back to its pre-pandemic normal. And at the European Central Forum, you mentioned that it's urgent for the Fed to resolve the tension between these two policy goals, since taming prices by raising interest rates would weaken our labor market.
To avoid a shutdown, but the debt ceiling still has not gotten done, and they're still trying to do the national defense budget all at the exact same time. So these things are all tied in, because the more things they have to do all at once, the harder it is to get the stimulus package done. The more things they're negotiating all at once, the harder it is for Bernie Sanders to say, hey, give us stimulus checks for seniors, because Joe Manchin says, nope, you know what, we'll give you the checks, but give us this, give us that in the other bill, give us this in the defense budget, give us this when it comes to raising the debt ceiling. Things are really complex. So the more things we get done, the easier and smoother it's going to be to negotiate the stimulus package. So this is where the good news comes in, as Democrats and Republicans just announced that they've come to a deal to raise the debt ceiling and avoid a crisis. Now, a couple of things here. One, this is really good because it's going to pave the way to get the stimulus package done, hopefully before Christmas, which is Chuck Schumer's deadline. Secondly, I want to point out, this still has not been executed. This is something that Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell have said. We've verbally come to a deal, and we're going to get this done in the next few days.